We normally do our show on Wednesdays. It's a hump day. It can be that time of the week when you start dragging a little bit, you're tired. And if you are, it can be completely understandable if you were watching Game 3 of the World Series. We had Game 4. It is tied to 2-2. It's becoming a really fun World Series. Shohei has delivered. But the game that took place in Game 3, 18 innings, we saw a game that you had 37 runners left on base. You had Shohei Ohtani walked not once, 5 times in the game, especially in those extra inning situations. And it finally came to a close with a Freddie Freeman home run at 3 a.m. East Coast time. This is the worst thing for baseball. The worst possible thing. I saw people describe it as a classic. The worst part about it for baseball is that most people were already sleeping, including myself. And I love baseball. I love the World Series, but that's just asking too much for people to do, to ask that much of one game. They need to go, and this is somebody who didn't love the regular season overtime rules, extra innings rules, but why do we have 2 sets of rules? Like, we are trying to make advancements, and I don't even say we. Baseball is trying to make, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, has tried to make improvements of the game to reach to a younger crowd, to make it speedier, to speed up the game. And it's been hugely successful. Baseball has come to the forefront again of conversation. The ratings are up. The attendance is up because those games are running faster and because in the overtime extra innings rules in the regular season where they plant a runner on second base, I think that has made the game more attractive. So why are we doing in the World Series something completely different, which loses a half or more of your audience? Just use the regular season extra innings rules all year round, and the game is close to perfect.
You know, I sometimes worry that you and I agree too much on stuff, but anytime I stress about that, we should just talk baseball because I think it's the one thing we completely disagree on.
And I'm a traditionalist. Like, I like some of the tradition of baseball, but this is one where I think you lose a lot of fans because it takes too damn long.
And I tend to think I'm a traditionalist in every sport too, usually baseball too, but no, man, I can't complain about this. Manfred, man, is the worst thing that's ever happened to baseball, man. And you can't say that it's only baseball. Baseball is the only rules that change in overtime because football changes.
Right.
We saw a tie earlier in the year. That's no more in there.
I would say go to the overtime rules for the postseason so you don't have ties. We can both agree on that. We don't want to see a game called after 18 innings or say it's a tie.
Same thing goes for the NHL, right? In the regular season, 5 minutes of overtime, 3-on-3. It's sick. It's like an arcade game. If it makes it through that, we go to the shootout, and the shootout's the most exciting thing in the world, right? So I don't know that I believe that I'm comfortable with the rules being different. I actually hate this rule always. As long as it doesn't become like an all-the-time thing, I'm good with it.
It is starting to become more frequent, though. It was only, was it, 2019, the last time it happened with the Dodgers? There was another 18-inning game. So it is happening enough. And here's the part I think that it hurts the most. Shohei, who was incredible in that game, they were sending him into the clubhouse in between at-bats to rest because he had to pitch the very next day. They didn't have a day off. I think those players were gassed. I think it takes away from the competition of the game. I think it dilutes them. I think the players are tired and they're worn out because they were playing essentially an extra game the night before. This is one where I'm actually okay with the evolution of the sport coming to a place where it makes sense for everybody. Because what do we talk about all the time? Player injuries, that's your biggest fear. I know it's the best sport. I know it's the World Series. It is the pinnacle of the sport. That is when you want to see your players at their best. In order to do that, let's cap where it can happen. And again, if you start with the runner on second and they go 12, 13 innings and they continually can't have them score, then I'm okay with it. But you got to do something to spur some action so that you don't see the game finish at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I think it's part of the gig, man. I don't think I'm ever going to feel bad for baseball players having to keep playing 18 innings. This is not like the kind of sport like you played or like I played where you feel Shohei Ohtani is a designated hitter on nights that he's not pitching. So the fact that they had to send him to the clubhouse to not get his one at bat every hour and a half, I don't.
Where he just walks anyway.
Right. What they do in like normal time is if it's a pitcher, they'll send him on a plane early. Like if you have a late game, or if it's something, they'll send him home and let him get some rest. But come on, man, I don't worry too much about that. If it doesn't become like an all-the-time thing, and look, if it was our team, we'd have been locked into the screen. It just so happens that it's 2 teams I don't care about. That's probably part of the reason it didn't matter to me too much. This is the World Series for me as a Yankee fan for 2 teams that I just don't. I wish they could both lose. You know, I hate the Dodgers from last year and the way the Blue Jays handled themselves, I'm not on board with them either. So yeah, I just think it happens to be it's part of the thing. I didn't hate it at all if it becomes something like this. I think the most classic NHL games in history are the ones that go 2 and 3 overtimes and you're on the edge of your seat with every base runner or every time a guy.
You know how many of those NHL games I've seen? 0. Because they end too late. Like they're too late. If you want to start the games at 5 o'clock East Coast so that it finishes at midnight, by all means, feel free to do so. But they're not going to do that because the West Coast crowd. So they're not going to have that solution. So I don't think they'll change the rule because you're like, it's a one-off that happens. Yeah. I just think it would make more sense for baseball to kind of keep those because your bullpen gets blown up. All of a sudden, your arms, you're plowing through arms, and it throws everything off for the entire series.
Yeah, I mean, you plow through arms, though, if your starter gives up 6 in the first inning, too. So it's not like it never happens. It's part of the gig is trying to figure out the best way to navigate that, and that's what I find that makes you the best team at the end. So it's stuff like that. I did want to, before we switch gears, just real quick, I know we touch on it a lot, you and me. We don't agree. We talked about this before. Can we just run this play? I thought this was the wildest play I saw.
Here we go.
So can I set the stage real quick?
Yeah.
And I have never once been misconstrued for a Blue Jays fan because, like I said, Yankee fan, don't like them. But, man, did they get royally screwed here. What happens is a pitch, up around the chin, gets called for a third strike. The batter starts taking his gear off, and the runner off of first assumes the last 1,000 times a pitch has landed there, it's been a ball. God, and he gets thrown out right here. And it completely kills a rally in a 0-0 game. This game doesn't go that long if maybe they score a run here. So, come on. If there was ever a
Give me that pitch again. That's a great frame job by the catcher. I think that's top of the letters right there. It's the upper portion of the strike zone. I don't think it's that. I think the batter screwed the runner because he did a double take. I think he knew it was called a strike, and then he tried to act like I'm going to show everybody what a bad call it was. You should wait there and make sure you don't put your runner in a bad position. That probably is a ball.
Maybe he started moving, though, thinking there's no feasible way. He moved like that was a ball, and then he just kind of stopped. And I think maybe he thought, there's no way that could be called a strike.
That, to me, is poor base running. That is poor base running by everybody involved. You can't ever assume that the officials are going to make the right call, especially an umpire behind the plate.
I feel like a couple years from now, when this show is really big, we could probably ask one of the guys on the chat to just dive into the last 1,000 pitches that stopped there, and you're going to have 998 balls and 2 strikes. That's so crazy.
What also is interesting is there's no box there that they usually have throughout the rig. Yeah, kind of interesting there because I wonder where it would be. Just at the top of the strike zone. I don't think it's as bad an egregious call as you're talking about. That's why I always ask, how do you define the strike zone? If he's standing there at a little bit taller, that's the top of the letters.
That's not top of the letters. That's the bottom of his neck. That's his collar line.
It's not my problem. He has no neck.
That hits the ump in the chin if they let it go.
What a great
run it
frame job.
One more time.
What a great frame job by the catcher.
That thing hits the ump in the face.
Look where the glove is when he just frames it perfectly. See, that's what I'm talking about. The art form of the game. That is an art to be able to frame pitches like that to make it look like you're holding it there. I love it, and they're all over it too. Getting the batter, the double play there.
Get out of this, Malik.
Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree on all of it regarding Major League Baseball. Should be a fun series. I picked the Dodgers to win it going in. Still feel pretty comfortable about that. You rolling with the Dodgers?
They are so loaded, man. They got 3-time Cy Young Award winners coming out of their bullpen. That's one thing I did love. Clayton Kershaw, who's got a history of performing really poorly in the postseason, came in really late, and this might be one of the last times we see him. How cool was it to see him in front of the guys?
It was great. And then to see his wife in the stands watching, which I think were his kids were watching too, the stress that was on them, realizing it might be the last time they would see him in a Dodgers uniform in that situation was really, really cool.